So our bodies are these incredible vehicles, right, that are constantly communicating within the cells and feedback from our environment as to how we feel in our autonomic nervous system. I'm sharing this video from the Watch Your Language Hub. We're based in Newcastle, New South Wales. But this is actually a movement practice to help allow synovial fluid to move through the joints. This particular practice is something that I do daily because we live in a world that's really sedentary. For many of us, we are sort of moving into a world from the age of like 5 and up where we start to sit in chairs. And this particular action of the hip joint teaches the hip over 10, 20, 30 years that instead of being like a ball and socket joint that opens out and moves very freely, it's actually being trained to be a hinge joint. And that's not the nature of the hip. The knee is a hinge joint, but the hip is actually a ball and socket. So when we sit in chairs for that amount of time, what tends to happen is we shorten the hamstrings and the quadriceps, the hip flexors and the psoas. And we go to stand up and we're kind of like, this all pulls. And then when we're adding on things such as shoes, which is another conversation, all of this area in the lower back starts to get a little bit painful. And adding to this conversation, generally when we're sitting in chairs, we're usually using devices. So whether it be like, this is what I talk about all the time, this particular phone posture, right? We're kind of rolling ourselves forward, but then we're also using things such as laptops and computers and things like that. And it's rarely that we're sitting up like this. There might be like a slouching that happens like this. I'm a writer. I have to also be mindful myself as to how I'm sitting in my chairs. Now, this practice of the joints or joint juicing or joint rotations is of course not my own practice. It stems from a very Eastern practice that has been shared to me through many movement teachers, and I've been doing it daily for the last 6 years. And I'm going to share what I know to you. Again, this is not my own, and I'm only sharing the practice that has helped me, in the hope that it can help you find better movement within your joints, especially if you're a human that lives in the Western world and sits in chairs and uses devices. So I'm going to aim to make this 15 minutes. Because I think every single one of us has 15 minutes to put back into ourselves when we look at how much time we spend on our phones. So we are just going to start with a bit of grounding. So we do everything bare feet. And again, I'm not going to go into much about the foot at the moment, but we were never born in shoes. And we go through our life then putting our foot, which is a really strong part of ourselves, that should be wide at the toes should move and splay, into a shoe where the toes are pointed and then they're on ramps, and we immediately start to mess up the structure of our bodies. We end up with really weak feet, which have a knock-on effect onto our knees, our hips and our spine. So this particular practice, and as often as you can, try to come back to being bare feet so that you're practicing having a good solid base to move around in the world out there. And our feet actually are incredible communicators to our autonomic nervous system. We have about 6,000 receptors in the big toe alone that communicate to our nervous system on the environment that we're walking on. Is this safe? Do I feel okay? So the more we're out of shoes, the more we're able to train our bodies to move a little bit into these unusual surfaces and things like that, and play around with learning where our bodies are in space, or proprioception. And that of course is going to help not only our bodies feel safe, but our confidence, our self-esteem, and has a knock-on effect to everything else that we do. So let's go straight into the joint work. I could talk on feet all day. We want to start, I highly recommend doing this in the morning, rather than getting on your phone and scrolling for 15 minutes. Put that time and attention back into yourself. The most important thing is you just do what you can do. You don't go to any levels that you don't. Your body will tell you. You're the only one that's going to know where that point is. So please be gentle with yourself and don't rush the process. So we start with our feet. What we're trying to do here is just get some movement through the ankle and the hip. So I'm just doing some slow rotations here around the ball of the foot. And as I said, I'm going to keep this to 15 minutes. I personally like to do about half an hour of this, but sometimes I can only do 10. Let's change direction. So we're trying to listen to what the toes are telling us here in the ankle and even the hip joint. We are listening for feedback from the body as to how we move through the day. Let's change feet here. So every time I wake up in the morning, I've landed in a different vehicle, the body. And it's really important, and it's my job only to listen to that, to sometimes change direction, to sometimes change what I need to do in order to look after this if it's feeling a bit tight or rigid or sticky or stressed. You know, stress plays a huge role in our joints locking up and feeling tight in the hips and the lower back. Nice. So from here, we're gonna now do our best to stand on one foot. I like to soften the standing knee, and you can always hold on to something. We're slowly doing some rotations around the ankle joint, like super slow. This is really important, we don't rush it. And we're starting to strengthen the standing knee. So single leg balancing is an amazing thing, not just for change direction, not just for balance, but strengthening the ankle joint, the glutes, and the muscles around the kneecap. So we're trying for smooth circles here. Great, let's change sides. Soft knee bend and then slow circles. So I guarantee you this is going to feel so much better than scrolling on your phone for 15 minutes. And the stats, unfortunately, on how change direction, how many hours we spend a day on our phone are pretty scary, ranging from 3 to 8 hours depending on the age group. So I think all of us have the opportunity to look after ourselves and put ourselves first. We now get into the knees. I put the fist between the knees and I'm going to do these slow circles here. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm not going too deep straight away because I want to tune in. Now, as I move through, I want you to think about there's a bit of a rolling onto the edges of the feet, back into the heels, even into the balls of the feet. And I'm looking for this smooth circle. Now let's change direction, and in time, if the knees feel good, you can start to like play around with getting this a bit deeper. I've just been moving, I'm pretty warm, but if you're doing this first thing in the morning, it's super important just to go to a level. We don't want pain, but discomfort, totally fine. We'll go one more of these. Great, so from the knees, we're just gonna do some swinging actions here. So we're just gonna like kick the foot forward, so getting this forward and back motion. Again, you'll just go to your degree onto this one, just getting some movement through the kneecap. Then we're also just gonna go side to side, just a little bit of movement through the hip joint here. Again, hold on to something if you need to here. So 3, 2, 1, we'll do that other side. So it's a flicking action, like this. I'm hinging at the knee joint and losing my balance at the same time. And then we're gonna go across the body, a little bit of hip action before we start to get into the hips. Again, you can extend out time on this as long as you want to. You can pause it, do whatever you want to do. We are now going to move into a bit more balancing with the hip joint. Now I'm going to stand on my right leg and soften my right knee. And what I'm doing here is I'm just going to free flow the left hip. So there's heaps of different hip rotations that we can do, but today and for this particular video, I'm just allowing the hip to move. And this is where, if we have been sitting in a chair for years, this is going to feel really rigid and stiff, and I want you to know it's not meant to look like anything. So please don't compare what you're seeing on this screen watching YouTube and go, why doesn't mine look like that? Everything's a practice, and when we can just allow ourselves to let it be what it is, the body will really respond really well to that. So just playing around with internal, external rotation of the hip joint, opening, closing, and just notice the parts of you that move with this. We're now going to hover that foot up, and we're just going to open and close. Do this 4 times, open and close. Now this can be a little open just to here and close. Again, no need to go super high. Work with a place that nudges a bit of discomfort for you. Beautiful. We go straight to the other side. Soft knee bend, and you start like gentle. Like no need to like, you know, go crazy. As I said, I'm pretty warm. My body was ready for that. But if you're just woken up, just be like, okay. And again, hold on to a wall or something or a human, just to explore. And as you get more familiar with this, you can actually start to make it, you know, a little bit more free flow. But for now, just work with your body. We then lift it. We're gonna inhale to open and exhale close. Inhale, open, exhale, close. Inhale, open, exhale, close. Inhale, open, and exhale, close. Feet hip distance, more apart. We're coming to a mountain stance. And what we're going to think about here is this figure eight of the hip joint. Now, cool thing is I can see myself in the video, so I'm trying not to move my shoulders. I'm just trying to get the hips to do a figure eight. It's actually quite difficult. And I've got my hands on my hip joint so I can actually feel the body moving here, and then we change direction. So this will allow some really nice movement through the sacrum and the lower back whilst warming up the legs at the same time. Beautiful. Nice. All right, so from here, what we're going to think about now is just, there's heaps more with the hips, but that will be enough for this particular video just to get you moving. We're now going to think about moving the dorsal region. So what we're going to start off with though is just some big hip circles here, just getting the whole body moving for a few moments. So you'll see here that I can extend the back a little bit. I can play around with like hollowing out. It doesn't have to look like anything here. It's just kind of just flowing out what we've just done. The knees can bend or they can stay straight. This actually feels so good in the body. All right, we'll come back up to stand, and now we think about keeping this part of the body from the hips down stable. I'm going to work with my sternum. I'm going to slide the sternum side to side. Now this still is a massive work in progress for me, but hopefully you get the idea. I can see, so I highly recommend doing this in a bit of a mirror. So I can see that my hips are relatively stable, and I'm just moving or sliding the rib cage. So this is like this massage for the digestive system. Now I'm going to work with the sternum going forward. So I'm going to go forward and pull it back. And I'm going to turn on my side so you can see this. So I'm going to go forward with the sternum and then back. So sternum forward and sternum goes back. And again, this takes a little bit of time. We're working now with the thoracic region. And for many of us, our thoracic region is just not moving. We're sitting in chairs, we're using devices, and for myself included. So this gets really rigid and this gets heavy, and then it plays a massive role in how we feel in our lower lumbar spine. We're going to put all of that together now. So soft knees, and we're going to move the body around. So it's forward to the side, pulls back to the side, forward to the side, pulls back. Personally, this is my favorite part of this whole joint routine. One, it feels incredible in my spine and it has helped my lower back pain insanely. I can't change direction. I cannot tell you the last time I had lower back pain. I had it for about 10 years, had a very rigid body, never ever moved my thoracic. And I'm so grateful for this practice and my teachers for sharing this with me. From the side, it looks like this. And this particular movement, again, when you first start it, it's not particularly going to be easy. You'll think, what is this? What's the point? But when you spend time each day giving back to this, your body will thank you for it. It is the most beautiful movement. We're going to do some circles now here. So what I want to think about doing is bringing my side rib cage down and I'm compressing the side of the waist. I'm gonna curl in, then I'm gonna open and open into the thoracic. So curl in, compress, and then open the rib cage. Curl in, open, compress, through. Now reverse, come down, open, compress, and through. So there's this beautiful movement, not just in the spine, but the digestive system as well. Lastly, it's going to move into the shoulders. So we're just going to get a little bit of momentum happening here, especially as we do this in the morning. The movements now become a little bit bigger because the body is starting to wake up. So getting blood into the fingertips. For now, we'll just go for 3 more. For 2, and for 1, bring the feet hip distance or wider. We start to move through the whole spine, letting the arms connect with the body. So there's a decent connection of my forearms to my torso. Working through this space, I'm lifting the foot as I twist. We'll go 3, we'll go 2, and 1. Beautiful. From here, we're going to inhale, come up, and then exhale, squat. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Keep going. We'll go 2 more. And last one. Beautiful. From here, you're just going to jump. So just let your whole body shake here. So just really letting the whole body move. We're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stand still, ground your feet, place your hand just where your diaphragm hits your belly. Pause, close your eyes. Breathe in through the nose, feel the belly rise. Breathe out through the nose and feel the belly fall. Breathe in through the nose, feel the belly rise. Breathe out through the nose, feel the belly fall. Breathe in. Breathe out. So no chest breathing here and all nasal breathing. Take 3 more breaths. This next inhale, make sure you thank your body and have gratitude for what you just did. And as you exhale, really land into your day feeling good and grateful for the skin you're in, because this body, this vehicle deserves you, and it deserves your attention way more than our phones do. So that particular practice, there you go, 15 minutes, pretty bang on with that. Give me a yes in the comments if you can commit to doing that daily. You just do what you can, but I promise you, you're gonna feel amazing if you put yourself first. You breathe into this and you give energy back to this vehicle, because it's then gonna serve you, because the time and energy that you put back into you is exactly what you're gonna get out of it. So be mindful of how you spend your attention and spend it on the things that make you feel good. Thanks again. I hope you enjoy that video. Let us know if you get something out of that. And I'd love to hear how that feels in your body in the comments.